Hey guys, welcome back here today. Today I'm going to do a fairly quick rundown of 7 fundamentals of shooting. Look, I get it. You can probably cut some of these down and smash some together, but overall it's generally accepted that there's 7 fundamentals. Generally note, like, all the fundamentals relatively remain the same. The order of importance is just different depending on what you're shooting. And I don't mean a target. I mean, like, are you shooting a bow and arrow? Are you shooting a rifle? Are you shooting a pistol? Is it for speed? Is it for marksmanship? Are you shooting a shotgun at clay and skeet, or doves or birds? So some of those fundamentals may get switched in order of importance. If I had to summarize general combat-based shooting, I'm going to say that, especially for handgun, that the Mark III in red are the 3 most important: grip, sight alignment, and trigger control. But I'm just going to break down all of these and kind of explain some nuances and go on from there. So top of the list that's normally covered is stance, but it's probably the least important for most anything. So when we look at the overall picture, if the goal is to get one shot on the target, you could have a shitty grip, shitty stance, shitty breathing, but you really need to have great trigger control and decent sight alignment, and you'll make that shot. What the fundamentals reemphasize, though, is repeatability of those shots, especially if you want it quick and fast and accurate, or fairly accurate. And so once those are the criteria, you have to have really good fundamentals or basics, knowledge and understanding of what's going on. So stance, what I hate about stance is it implies being static. And when we look at combat shooting and the dynamics of fighting, like, our stance is, it could be anything. You could be halfway falling to the ground. You could be, moving like this, getting away from gunfire, or some weird awkward position and launching bullets at the same time. I'm not saying that that's what you should do, just saying that happens. So I don't know what your stance is going to look like, but it probably isn't like a traditional, modern isosceles textbook kind of stance. That doesn't always, if ever, happen if you're using cover and concealment properly, or movement, so you don't get shot. So stance. But what is important, and I will tell people, is there is a fundamental thing of stance and footwork that it builds into, i.e. movement, that's in every martial art except for some reason shooting. But that's a different story. Next on the list is breathing. It's not as important for shooting, but it is important to stay alive. So just breathe. Okay, inhale, exhale, deep breaths, box breathe, calm yourself down. Don't try to hyperventilate, don't underventilate, breathe normally. So good stance, athletic and aggressive is what I advocate for. So slightly forward on the lean, get behind your gun, be more than passive weight, be active weight. Breathe normally. How you hold the gun is next. Grip. Grip's super important. You want to be able to crush that gun in your hand, right? So when I have a master grip, master hand on the gun, you'll see, I'm all the way up to the rear tang of the pistol. I am gripping with all of my fingers except for the trigger finger, and I am crushing that gun kind of in place. Now, there's a bunch of thoughts on how I grip, where I grip, where do I apply the force. And I'm just gonna say, put 150% of your force, or maybe 100% of the force with your strong hand on the gun, and you can start off with squeezing it front to back. You'll see that my fingertips right here are getting kind of pale and white because I'm squeezing that gun that hard for 2 very big reasons. One, I want to have control of the weapon physically, so someone just doesn't snatch it out of my hand, but I also want that control for recoil management, blah, 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 blah. But I also want it for consistency of the grip. When I flag my thumb up, it creates this space for my second hand to crush into that gun. And that's what I want. I want to build a good 2-handed grip, right? And that's what we want when we are holding that pistol. My thumbs tend to ride pretty high. I've done this for a million years. The slide's not going to hurt you, but you want to choke up high on the gun because that's where the movement of the slide is. And you want to hold your wrist, and I tell people your thumbs will be somewhere between all the way forward, all the way up, or somewhere in the middle. Somewhere in between, your thumbs are kind of just in the way because you're squeezing with the other 8 of your fingers, your palm, and the bottom sections of your thumb, more so than your actual thumbs. So I'm not pressing into the slide. I'm just resting my thumbs there, squeezing with my palms and my pinkies all the way through the frame of the gun. So that's how we're going to build a 2-handed grip. A lot of people will tell you that grip is super, super important for recoil management, and it really is. Don't get me wrong. But it will not fix poor marksmanship. Okay, it's kind of a crutch, and I'll explain that probably in another video. But a lot of times you'll see all these people